Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that everybody has had a great week, and I hope that you're all looking forward to a fantastic weekend. This IELTS live class will be focusing on the reading section, and the reading passage will be about Steve Wozniak, a key player in the creation of the Apple company. So kind of interesting, exciting. This is taken from an academic IELTS exam, but you could have a similar type of reading passage for Section 3 of the General IELTS as well. So Section 3 of General IELTS is often quite similar to the reading passages of the academic IELTS, which means that if you can do a great job here, you can definitely do a great job in the General IELTS if you are taking the General IELTS. Make sure you know which type of IELTS you need to do, or which kind for your purpose. Welcome, Amrit, hi, Emre, Evangeline, Rashika, Mandeep. Nice to see many of our members in the class already, and welcome to our chat moderator, Carolina. It's great to have you all with me here this morning. And it is morning, it's early in my time, or in my time zone, 5:30 in the morning. So, as they say, the early bird catches the worm. It means those who wake up early and the first to start are often successful. So let's get up and get at it. I think for many of you it's much later in the day. All right, everyone. So again, IELTS reading in this class. It's taken from academic but useful for general. This is a members chat class. To become a member of our YouTube channel, simply click the join button beside the subscribe button. Subscribing to the channel is of course a great idea, and hitting the bell button for notifications is also a great idea, so you can follow our live schedules and get all of our materials through YouTube that we have there. And if you want to get our full program, definitely visit us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, and for general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have lots and lots of reading materials, as well as materials for other sections of the IELTS exam. Our academic IELTS website looks like this, and to join our premium package, all you do is click that big red button, and you're off to the races. You'll get a My Student account, you'll get an app for your phone. We're an official IELTS test registration center, certified agents. I'm a British Council certified agent myself, so you are in great hands with us. And you can use the code HELP20 to get a 20% discount on our premium IELTS package. The cost of the package is different in different countries, so check out what it costs in your country. For the General IELTS, go to our General IELTS website, gieltshelp.com, and again, just click that big red button to join our premium IELTS package. That's all you need to do. The apps you can find in your app store: Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Link them to the websites. Use the website on your PC, use the app on your phone, or you can use the website on your phone as well. And if you have any questions, if you're not sure about parts of the IELTS exam or about the English language, you can definitely send me an email. My email is adrian@aehelp.com. All right. So we've got Joe Fennel Arda in here. That's great. Amrit. How to make more interest in reading passages, Amrit? Yeah, that's a good question. Keep in mind that the IELTS reading passages, they're, topics that could be useful in life. You never know when. You never know when you might be on a show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and knowing the information on one of these IELTS passages could be that ticket to answering the $1,000,000 question, Amrit. And then you can be like, oh yes, I did the IELTS exam 10 years ago, and I remember reading a passage about Steve Wozniak and Apple, so I'm pretty confident in my answer. And bada bing, bada bang, you've got $1,000,000. So information, you never know when it's going to be handy in your life. Life is long. We're all going to be alive for like 100 years, so you never know when it could be useful. So always find information interesting, especially information that you have to read and understand either way. And of course, include yourself. Imagine that you're a part of the Apple company. You met with Steve Jobs, you met with Steve Wozniak, and you're a part of the team. So include yourself in the information. That's one really good trick to kind of make it interesting. Imagine when you're reading this passage that you work for Apple. Okay. All right, students, we've got a couple of classes today. So this one, and then after this class, we will have listening part 3 and 4. That will be a continuation of the listening exam we started last week. If you missed that class, no worries. You don't need to have seen it to be able to follow today's listening class. We'll do task 2 writing for members tomorrow, and we'll have speaking tomorrow as well. And for those of you who are really into practicing your speaking for your upcoming IELTS exam, we've got lots of help for you. One way to kind of start off is to watch this video that we have with a candidate from India, from Madhya Pradesh. I'm just going to copy that link into the chat if somebody wants to check that out at some point. And we also have some Light Hall classes coming up this month. One on the 19th of June. Light Hall classes are special speaking classes on a new interactive platform called Light Hall. Light Hall is great for learning online. So if you like to learn online, if you like to learn live classes online, definitely check out Light Hall and check us out on Light Hall. They're 100% free classes at this point. And they are really fun and great to interact with each other. So we'll be doing a couple of classes there. Those links will take you there. You can register for free. Okay, so reading tips. Yeah, Amrit had a really good question. Amrit is asking, how do I make it interesting? And I think there's a reason why Amrit is asking that question. So I'm going to give you a couple of important tips here as we start off today's reading class. Now again, this is the reading passage that we will be looking at in today's class. The title, always read the title. The title is really important to read. The title is Steve Wozniak, the visionary you've never heard of. And the author is, they want to make it interesting for you. That's why they give it this title, The Visionary You Never Heard of. What does it mean, visionary? Somebody who has great imagination, who is able to look into the future. The visionary that you have never heard of. You don't know who Steve Wozniak is? What? Well, you'll soon find out. So the author's trying to get you interested in the text here. And I think IELTS does try to come up with passages that are interesting. I don't know. I find them kind of interesting. When I was doing my IELTS reading way back in February of 2021. I thought the passages on the real exam were kind of interesting as well. Okay. So here are some tips for you to do a better job when you're practicing your reading and when you're doing the actual IELTS exam, okay? So tip number 1, focus on seeing or visualizing details while you read. Okay, so here the key word or keywords is visualizing details. So don't just kind of see this blurry general image, but see the small fine details. Let me show you what I mean. So read with me here, okay? All right. Steve Wozniak, the visionary you've never heard of, founded in 1976, Apple Computer, now Apple Inc., is one of the world's biggest companies. Whatever way biggest is measured, sales, market capitalization, cultural impact, or otherwise, Apple is top of the chart or very near the top. For decades, Steve Jobs was the face of Apple. He was the person on stage promoting the iPod, iPhone, iPad, etc. Profoundly intelligent, though he undoubtedly was, Jobs was not the brains behind Apple's technological accomplishment in the early years. Instead, it was Jobs' friend, Steve Wozniak, affectionately known as Woz, who provided much of the intellectual and technological ability that made Apple into an overnight success. Okay, so what do I mean by visualization? When I speak of visualization, what I mean is, while we were reading this passage, what you should have seen, okay, is first of all yourself, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more here in a bit. So here you are, okay, and you've got a 1970s awesome hairstyle, okay, and in one hand you've got an iPad, okay, that's supposed to be a little apple there. In the other hand, you've got your iPhone. Okay, I know it wasn't around yet in the 70s, but that's all good. Okay, you've got lots of money because you are Apple. Okay, you've got a big company. All right. And you want to see all of these little details, and why not? You're happy. And make yourself the topic of this passage. Your name is now Woz, Steve Wozniak. Okay, so there you are. And you know what? If it helps you at home to draw these kinds of little pictures while you're reading to engage your visual abilities, do that. Okay, have a piece of notepaper and draw the information that you're reading. It's a great way to improve your comprehension. So there you are. You are Steve Woz, you're at Apple, and you've got your iPad. And here, you know what? Let's even give you an iPod. So I've got my earbuds, and here I've got even my iPod. I'm listening to music, all about Apple here. All right, there you go. Okay, so visualize. All right, now you have a much better concept of the paragraph. Okay, So the reason we do this, the reason we visualize, and the reason we focus on details is to understand. Okay, when we see details, when we pay attention to details in reading, then we understand it much, much better. Okay. Tip number 2. Include yourself, okay, into the visualization. And when I mean include yourself, I mean not like a TV where you watch the information in the distance, but be active in the information. More like a theater. Okay, so you are a part of that information. All right, let me show you how. So let's do a little bit more reading here. Okay, here we go from the top. All right, read with me. Okay, Steve Wozniak was born in 1950 in San Jose, California, USA. Though his brilliance was clear from a young age, his geographic place of birth was a significant factor in his impact on the computing world. In 1950, San Jose was a small suburb of San Francisco with a population of under 100,000. Over the next 7 decades, San Jose's population would balloon by a factor of 10 and by over 20 when taking into account the metro population. This extreme growth was not an accident. Led by companies like Apple, San Jose became the epicenter of what came to be known as Silicon Valley, the beating heart of global technological advances in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Let me see if I can make this a tiny touch bigger for you, especially for those of you using mobiles like the iPhone. Wozniak was gifted both intellectually and geographically. He had the intellectual ability to create and develop the devices he did, but he was also born into the exact location on the entire planet in which their development was taking hold and was valued. All right. So again, what I want to do here is I want to see this information. So instead of seeing this information in the distance, like something is happening over there in America where this guy is born and he's really smart, and yeah, good for him. He's coming up with ideas for Apple. What you want to really see here is you want to see yourself in California. So here's California. I'm just gonna make it up. It's kind of a long state like this, okay? And somewhere along here where there's San Francisco, this is where you are born. You're Steve Wozniak, woohoo. Okay, so this is supposed to be an old school baby crib. You're super smart, so we're gonna give you a big head. But in this case, it would actually be me, okay? So I'm the one that this is happening to. I'm a super smart, tiny little cute baby. Yay. And I'm born into the perfect place with computers. Okay, that's my computer there. Woohoo, I'm a baby programmer. And give myself a little baby hat. There we go. There I am. I'm a baby. And hey, this is a great place to be born. So thumbs up. Yay, perfect place. Okay. All right, there I am, Steve Wozniak, born in San Jose in the 50s. Okay, and I'm about to become a key part of the culture of tomorrow with technology. Okay. All right, so there I am. Okay. So the reason that I want to include myself into the visualization is because the brain loves to participate in information. So one of the really common complaints that I get when I'm teaching IELTS and teaching the IELTS reading section is people will say, I read the passage, I understand it, but I forget it as soon as I get to the questions. And then I have to search and read again for the answers. What do I do? Okay, and that's fair. You know, that happens to people. And so you have to include yourself when we become participants in the information, when we are part of that information. Our brain will hold that information. Our brain has special programs that are running all the time, unaware to us. And especially in today's world, because we live in the information age where we have so much information coming to us from all over and around us in the day, the TV, your smartphone, you might have Google Assistant at home or in your car. You've got information coming at you all day from your workplace and from schools and your family. The brain gets overloaded. Okay, so the brain is kind of, it filters, right? Just like computers filter ads and spam and junk email, your brain also filters what it thinks is unimportant and junk. And some of the first kinds of information that the brain filters are information which it feels is unrelated. It's not connected to itself or to its purpose. Okay, so you need to trick your brain into thinking the information is important to it. Okay, and that's why you become a part of that information, and this will help you to remember information. Okay, all right. So tip number 1, visualize details. Tip number 2, become a part of the information, and that way you will remember the information much, much better. Okay. Mal says the cribs look more like a boat. All right, Mal. Well, never know. Maybe it's a boat crib. Lots of theme cribs out there, like sports car crib, boat crib. Why not? Okay. Tip number 3. And I've got some thumbs up, so Amrit says, yes, it's true. Emra's got a smile going on. That's great. Tip number 3 is make it interesting. Okay. Make it unique, make it interesting in some way. Okay, let me show you how. Let's jump back to the reading. Okay, and again, read with me, everyone. So this isn't just me reading and you listening, but make sure you read with me. Okay, let's read together. All right. So here we go with C. Wozniak's beginning in the world of technology was his development of what he called a blue box, which enabled a user to make long-distance calls at no cost. In the early 1970s, this was an incredible accomplishment. Wozniak, already together with his friend and business partner Jobs, sold over 200 of these blue boxes at a cost of $150 each, $928 in 2020. Without the profit from the blue boxes, Jobs admitted decades later there would have been no Apple computer. All right, so free long distance phone calls with this little blue box. Okay, cool. So let's make this interesting. And again, when you practice this at home, this can become quite fast. Okay, so you can start to be very creative. It helps your creative thinking, by the way, too, which is very, very advantageous for a lot of different parts of success in life, or different elements. So we have a little blue box. Okay. And this blue box, in some special kind of way, allows me to make phone calls. Okay, and again, I'm still Steve Wozniak. Now, remember, this is kind of before the time of mobile phones. It's the 1970s. Long distance. So I imagine that over in Japan, Japanese flag there, I've got a girlfriend on the other side of the planet. Ooh, and it would cost me big money to call my girlfriend and talk to her for hours and hours and hours about nothing. Long distance, let's make her happy. Okay. But because I've invented this blue box, I now get to do it for free. And this blue box, of course, eventually leads to the success of the Apple company. Okay. So, blue box, important part of my life, kind of interesting. Okay, I'm taking a little piece of my past history here to give you this visualization. Okay, and again, I'm a part of this information, so I'm still Wozniak here. Okay, and I'm living in the US. So there we go. There's the American flag. Let's put some stars there. Spangle it, stripe it. American flag. There we go. There to the other side of the planet. Okay, so now it's interesting. Okay, and I've sold 200 of these units, which helps me to build Apple. Okay, all right. There we go. Yay, talking to my girlfriend for free. I had to invent this blue box to do it. Otherwise, I would have had to sell my parents' car. Okay, so make the information interesting. Okay, and there's a reason that you do that. All right, so the reason that you make information interesting and then you make it unique is so that you can recall information. Okay, all right. The reason for this is that, you want to read it, you want to understand it, you want to remember it, but all of that is somewhat useless if you're not able to recall it. Okay, keep this in mind, everyone. You should be able to answer about 50 to 60% of the questions in IELTS reading without going back to the text. So we'll keep your mind sane, you will stay happy, and you're going to get a much better band score. Okay, this is the right way to get a band 7 or more. All right. So again, keep these 3 tips in mind. Tip number 1, focus on visualizing details so that you can understand the text, okay? Tip number 2, include yourself so that you can remember the text a little bit better. And if it helps you to make little drawings like what I just did, then do that at home, right? So engage the mind, train your brain, train the brain. And tip number 3 is make it interesting, okay? So make it interesting in some way. Steve Wozniak, I mean, imagine if we still had to pay those ridiculous amounts of money to call people long distance. Steve Wozniak in his little blue box also kind of created, I think, the foundations for the concept behind many of the apps like WhatsApp, Skype, which was like, hey guys, we should be able to video chat and talk to each other more or less for free. around the world and not have to pay like a lot of money per minute. I think some of you who are maybe a fair bit younger than me don't know this, but it used to cost a lot of money to talk to people long distance. Like you'd have to work for hours just to talk to somebody for a few minutes in another country. So globalization and a more connected world is possible in many ways because of this, okay? People just didn't have the money to connect like that in the 1970s. Okay. All right. So that's what we do. Okay. That's how you do the reading. I'm going to ask for some help from our members and our viewers to help me read. All right. So Evangeline says, sir, the video is blurred. I think that's on your end, Evangeline, the video being blurred, because it looks pretty clear on my end. Okay, so let's hop back to the reading, and I'm going to get your help to read. Now, there's a way to do this. You're going to read, everybody will hear you read, which is cool, and then we'll talk a little bit about each of these paragraphs. So we'll continue with paragraph D. The way to do this is go to the website. Let's use the academic one, aehelp.com. Okay, so this website is www.aehelp.com. Okay, once you go to the website, aehelp.com, click the red button to get a premium account. If not, click the green button for a free trial account, and then go to your My Student account. That's at the top there. I don't know, you can't see that, but you'll be logged in anyway. There's a My Student account at the top here. And once you're in your My Student account, everyone, I want you to practice. So I don't want to just go blah, 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 blah all class. I want you to practice, and we're going to answer these questions together. So the next step I want you to take is I would like you to click on this student partner speaking. Okay, this is what we use to practice the speaking for IELTS as well. So student partner speaking, that's just above my head there. Let me see if I can lift that up a little bit there. So student partner speaking. Okay, so go to aehelp.com, that's academicenglishhelp.com, create a user, log in, go to student partner speaking, click on that, and accept the terms that you're going to speak nice and clear and with respect. You won't share personal information. And then you can volunteer to read by clicking the blue envelope, Masters. So you're going to see my name. My name will come up as Master. It'll all be, I think, capital. Not even sure why it does capitals, but Master. And then click the blue envelope that's beside my handle. And so that little blue envelope there that I'm showing with Mandeep, and then send me a message and say I'd like to volunteer. Then you can volunteer to read and help me with this passage. Firstly, I'm looking for members in this class, as this is a members chat class, and I can see that Amrit is in here. If I don't see members, I will open it up for other volunteers as well, so hang in there. Okay, let me put on my ears here. There we go. Okay, Amrit, are you ready? I'll send you a quick message, just make sure you haven't gone to the washroom or something like that. And then we should be able to connect. Let me know if you don't hear me.
Hello.
Hi, Amrit.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. It was short sleep for me last night, but I'm okay. How are you?
I'm
Oh, you cut out there, Amrit. Can you still hear me? It's like I suddenly lost you. Lost your connection there. Not sure what happened. Maybe you went into a tunnel. I don't know. I didn't go into a tunnel unless my whole office suddenly went underground. Okay, I cannot hear you. I'm not sure if anybody else can. I'm going to hang up the line I'm reading, and then I'll try to call you again. Just give me a moment. Okay, let's try Amrit one more time. I couldn't hear you, Amrit, but I'll try again, okay? All right, it's like a drop call. It's like we're back in 1970s long distance calling, right? Okay, let's do this one more time. Hello, Amrit. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. I'm not sure if you're using Wi-Fi or what's going on. That was kind of strange. I heard you, and then suddenly I didn't hear you. Okay, Amrit, I will...
Can you hear me, sir?
Oh, now I can hear you. Sounds like you had some microphone issue, maybe.
Yes, sir. I'm just fixing this problem on my laptop.
I see. Okay. So I wasn't, yeah. Maybe we need to go back and use Steve Wozniak's blue box, right? Amrit?
Yes.
Okay.
Could you repeat, please?
I said maybe we should use Steve Wozniak's little blue box from the 1970s.
Yes, sir.
Might work better, right?
Hey, sir, yeah. As you know that in our new modern technology, this is happen often.
Yeah, it's kind of like the 1970s. I remember this happened in I wasn't around in the 70s, but in the 1990s this happened too, with the old telephones. Okay, Amrit, let's do this. So I will ask you to read a paragraph, and while you read this paragraph from the passage, apply these strategies that I was telling you. So visualize the situation, be a part of the situation, make it interesting, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, here we go. So let me just get back here. This is going to be paragraph D. And whenever you're ready, just start reading from the relationship between Jobs and Wozniak.
Okay, sir. The relationship between Jobs and Wozniak was complicated. When the video game manufacturer Atari offered $100 and $612 in 2020 for every chip that was eliminated from the circuit board. Jobs, who worked at the Atari at the time, offered to split the income with Wozniak if he could reduce the number of chips used in the circuit board. Wozniak did by 50, but Jobs told Wozniak Atari only awarded him $700 instead of $5,000 and gave Wozniak $350 instead of $2,500, pocketing the differences. Wozniak found out a decade later, but forgave Jobs.
All right. So
There's there's a lot of numbers.
a lot of numbers, which is fine. Amrit, when you read this paragraph, what do you see? So what is the imagery? What are the pictures in your brain that get created after you read this paragraph?
Sir, this paragraph is it's talking about video games and prices of manufacturers.
I'm not asking you what the paragraph is about. So it's very interesting, Amrit, because this is what a lot of people do, is they start, kind of paraphrasing or rephrasing what the paragraph is about, but I'm actually not interested in what the paragraph is about. What I'm more interested in is, what do you see in your head? So what are the images in your head when you read this paragraph?
like a gaming chip or like video game.
So you're a part of this. Remember what I said, right? Like I'm Steve Wozniak, right? In this case, you're Steve Wozniak because you're the reader. And what do you see? So what's happening to you when you read this paragraph as Steve Wozniak?
I see. mm Yoms and Wozniak as a relationship is very complicated.
Mm-hmm. So you're Steve Wozniak and you have a really complicated relationship with Steve Jobs?
And he offered $100. Actually, sir, I don't understand. Like manufacturers, Tori offered $100.
Doesn't matter. So you're still focusing on the content and you have to get past this. This is what you have to teach yourself to do. So don't focus on information that you don't understand, okay? The first sentence, you have a complicated relationship with Steve Jobs. You're Steve Wozniak, right? So let me show you what I mean here. So this is you, okay? You are Steve Wozniak. Okay, and
Yes.
here's Steve Jobs. Okay, your buddy old pal who you have a complicated relationship with. Okay, you guys are playing video games. You have a video game controller here. Okay, and he's got a video game controller. It's an Atari. Okay, and you guys are fighting because you have a complicated relationship. And the next thing you know, he's stealing money from you. Oh no, you're really angry now. Okay.
Okay.
So that's what you should be seeing. You should be seeing the information that you understand. So if you don't understand all of the details of what's going on here with reducing the number of chips on the circuit board, etc., that's okay. But you should be seeing yourself in this kind of a strange relationship with Steve Jobs where you guys are pals, you guys play video games together, you work for this company Atari or something, and you're fighting over video games. People fight in video games or over video games all the time. And then to make matters worse, Steve Jobs is stealing money, but then he tells you about it, right? Then he's like, hey, I stole money from you. And you're like, okay, I forgive you. So that's what you should be seeing. Do you get what I'm telling you with that?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay, so focus on not trying to, tell another person what the information is about or what the passage is about, but what's actually happening in the story of the passage. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. And I guarantee when you practice that, you're going to become much better at reading and you will learn English faster as well. It's good to do this in partners. So if you know somebody else who's planning to take the IELTS exam on read, then sit down with them, or you can do this even online, like through the website. Look at the same reading passage, read it, and discuss with each other what you see happening in the passage. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. And like visualize visual in the passage.
Yeah, you have to visualize, right? We as humans, we're visual creatures, so we have to visualize to make sense of the world around us, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, and you're going to see when we get to the questions that this will be very helpful, okay? All right, Amrit, thanks for calling in. I will pick somebody else for the next paragraph. I hope you have a lovely, lovely rest of your day, Amrit.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir,
You're very
for giving
welcome.
me a nice chance. Bye
Absolutely.
bye.
Bye, Amrit. All right, so let's take another volunteer here. Just above Amrit is Sun. Sun, are you there? If yes, I would love to have you read a passage and help me make sense of it. Okay. So Mandeep says, I want to try. Manydeep, let me see if you're in here. Sorry, I should have looked for a member first. Manydeep, can you, I don't see you in the list. Oh, you're at the top there. Okay. Manydeep, right after Sun, okay? I can see that you're there. So right after Sun, I will reach out to you. I just didn't see any other members, but I see you now, okay? All right, son. Let's do this. Let me reach out to you.
Sure.
Hi, son. How are you?
Still doing great.
You're still doing great. Awesome. You haven't stopped doing great. That's awesome. All right, son. Where are you right now, son?
Uh, I'm in Vietnam.
In Vietnam. Yes, I thought you were. Okay, son. So we're continuing with this passage about Steve Wozniak and his role in the establishment of Apple as one of the biggest companies or biggest company in the world. So what I'll ask you to do, son, is same thing that we did with Amrit. Well, I will ask you to read a paragraph and then just tell me what you see as a part of this information. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, just read from in the early to mid 1970s.
In the early to mid 1970s, Wozniak and Jobs worked out of Jobs' parents' garage on the first Apple computer. Wozniak was in charge of the technical end, while Jobs was tasked with marketing. Wozniak had gained computer development experience and expertise through the Homebrew Computer Club, a Silicon Valley group that used the Author 8800 microcomputer do-it-yourself kit based on Intel 8080 microprocessor, one of the world's first. This framework would become the foundation of Apple's first computer. With money from the blue boxes, Wozniak's previous work at Hewlett Packard, and the sale of Jobs' car, the two young men started Apple Computer.
Awesome. Okay, so lots of kind of interesting names and words in there. You don't have to understand them all. That's okay. What's important here is that you do create a picture in your head of what's going on. So, what is the picture that's created in your mind, son, after you read this paragraph? What do you see happening in this situation?
I'm imagining myself as Steve Wozniak, and my friend is Steve Jobs, and we are in a garage, and we have uh, uh,
So far, you're doing great. I'm seeing the same thing. What do you have? What's going on in the garage? Keep it simple.
um,
What are you doing in that garage with Steve?
uh, Steve was marketing the uh, garage, and I'm doing some uh, technical stuff.
What's the technical stuff that you're doing? You're doing wonderful. I'm just kind of pushing you to see it even clearer, to get an even clearer picture. What are you doing in that garage? So what's the technical stuff that you're doing in the garage? And you might use your own
I
knowledge for this. You're making what are you making?
uh,
The first Apple
computer.
computer, right? You're building the first Apple computer from a little kit. Okay. Okay, that's all you need to see. Is you're doing a great job, son. So you were like 80% of the way there, I think. You had 80% of the correct picture. So you're Steve Wozniak, you're hanging out with Steve Jobs, you're in Steve Jobs' parents' garage, you're making the first Apple computer. You're kind of doing all of the technical, like building the computer, and Steve Jobs is trying to sell it to people. And there's space in the garage. Why is there space in the garage? Why is there lots of room for you to make this first computer in Steve Jobs' parents' garage? If you look at the very last sentence, son, you'll get the answer to that question. There's lots of room in the garage. Are you still with me, son?
Yes.
Because there's no car in the garage, right? Steve Jobs sold the car. So if you look at this part here, the sale of Jobs' car, right? So he sold the car. So you've got lots of space and you got some money to buy computer parts and build that computer, okay? Son, you were 80% of the way there, okay? To go that rest of the way, that other 20%, just keep your thoughts simple, okay? IELTS isn't meant to be like a very complicated university exam, all right? So all that's happening here, besides all of these tricky names and numbers and such, is that you and your friend Jobs, you're hanging out in the garage, you're making some computers, and you're trying to sell them, market them, or Jobs is trying to do that, and you've got lots of space and you've got some money because there's no car in the garage. So that's what's going on. Son, that was good reading. Keep working on that and keep visualizing like that, okay? And you're definitely on the right track to improve your score, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, son, I'm going to grab somebody else for the next paragraph. As you follow with the lesson, keep doing this, okay? So keep visualizing, keep seeing the details. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, son, have a great rest of your day or evening in Vietnam. Bye for now, and we'll talk later, okay?
Goodbye, sir.
Okay, bye, son. All right. I had a feeling like son was in really deep thought there, still visualizing what was going on. All right, Mandeep, I have not forgotten my promise. Let me see, just make sure that you're still there. Mandeep, are you still there for the next paragraph? Okay, we'll move along here and we will get to the questions as well. Thank you for the support, by the way, in the chat. Emre, Fanil, Carolina, nice way to support each other. It's tricky when you're not used to reading like this. It takes a bit of practice, okay? But I promise you that not only will you become better in IELTS and get a higher band score, you'll actually start to enjoy reading more as well. All right. There's a couple more paragraphs, Emre. All right, let's see if we can. Hi, Manideep.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm also doing great.
Awesome. Okay, Manideep, are you ready to read a paragraph and help me out here a little bit?
Yes, I'm really excited.
Okay, that's the way you should be in the IELTS reading. There you go. That's a good attitude. Okay, so whenever you're ready, start reading from within 4 years, from right there.
Yep. Within 4 years, the blink of an eye in the time of an investor, Apple's value exceeded $1 billion. At the time, it was the fastest rise to the that mark in history. In that short time, Wozniak had become a multimillionaire, and it was largely due to his development of the cutting-edge and paradigm-shifting Apple II computer. The Apple II broke the barrier between those people who played around with computers as a hobby and the general public. It had color graphics, an integrated programming language, BASIC, and an optional 5.25-inch external floppy drive. Every family in the early 1980s wanted an Apple computer, and the value of Apple reflected this cultural value.
Nice, smooth, fluent reading. Okay, Manideep, what do you see when you read this paragraph?
And like I was I'm still Steve Wozniak. So I was successful creating the Apple One computer. So one fine morning when I got up, I came to know that the Apple company is very successful. It exceeded $1 billion, and in fact, I became a multi-millionaire. It was even more exciting, and I was not worried about my friend because he's always marketing. So he's doing his work, and and it was because of my technological background where I was able to develop another cutting edge computer, Apple II, and it broke the barrier between only there used to be PC heads, like only gamers or who were very interested in using PCs. They used to have access to the computers, but with the Apple II computer, I made possible. I made everyone can access the computers. That's what I made. Uh, and in fact, nowadays, I mean, in 1980s, everyone wanted to have an Apple computer. So
Okay,
that's what I
good.
did.
So that was pretty good. Okay, I felt you there, so that was good. I mean, I think you were still just kind of recalling what the paragraph was about, but you did make it your own. Like, I started to feel like, yes, you are Steve Wozniak, which was really good. Now, a lot of people dream about being a multi-millionaire, and so I see this Apple II computer, and I still remember the Apple II computer, so for me, it's easy to visualize. It's because I know what it actually looks like. But also being so successful suddenly and being a millionaire. I'm driving a Lamborghini, I have a Ferrari, I have a huge house with a swimming pool. So it's good to see that kind of detail as well, right? When you think about being a millionaire, Manideep, what do you see? What do you see as a millionaire? What's your dream life?
I want to have a luxury house, maybe.
Okay, what does your
Maybe
luxury house have? Is it 1 stories, 2 stories? Does it have a pool, big garden? What does it have?
it may have more than 10 stories and also a beautiful swimming pool and definitely a lot of Apple II computers or maybe the upcoming computers.
Okay, cool. So maybe you have like a huge computer room in your house, right?
Yep.
Especially if you're a computer guy, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So that's kind of what you want to see. You're Wozniak, you have this huge 10-story house, and one of those floors is just all computers, gaming computers, graphics computers, editing computers, and they're all Apple II computers hooked together in this giant computer room. Okay, good. That's what you want to do. So focus on, details of the information. Otherwise, I think you did a fantastic job. So you're definitely on the right track, okay?
Sure.
All right, that was really good. Really nice, fluent reading. And if you keep reading like that, Manideep, I guarantee that you will find the questions easier to answer and you will get a great score on your IELTS, okay?
Sure, Adrian.
Okay.
So before dropping off, I have a question.
Fire away.
So in the reading section, while we are reading the passages, is it good to underline the important information or is it not to do that?
It's an interesting question. In the official IELTS, when you're doing the IELTS exam, I don't recommend doing that because then you get lost on the small pieces. And many of the questions, especially for the higher band scores, like the band 7, 8, 9, you need to understand the whole piece of information. Like you have to understand the whole paragraph or you have to understand the whole passage. And if you're underlining single words, it's easy to miss the bigger information because you're getting lost in all the little details. So it can actually work against you. Does that make sense?
Yes, we'll be getting distracted.
Exactly. You get distracted from the big picture, right? And what we're doing right now, this exercise actually is to understand the big picture as well as the details, right? So when you're practicing at home, sometimes it can be good practice to underline keywords just so that you train your brain to see those keywords. But in the official test, when you're in the test situation, I don't recommend doing it. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right, good question. Okay, Manideep, have a great rest of your day and thank you for reading that paragraph.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye, Manideep. All right, that was Manideep. That was some really good reading. Mal, you can ask a question, absolutely. Meanwhile, let's finish this paragraph. Let's see who else we have. We have I'm looking for members, but I don't see any more. If I'm missing any of the members here, let me know. I'm trying to match up the names, but I don't see them. So I saw some volunteers here. Let's take Peter. Okay, let's see if we can reach out to Peter. Okay, Peter, are you ready to read? So it is reading, so I'll get you to read. I believe it might be our last paragraph here. Peter, if you're still there, let me know. Yes, G is our last paragraph, and then we're on to the questions. So let's see if Peter's still with us. Maybe not. All right. Then let's reach out to, oh, no, Peter's there. Okay, Peter says I'm ready. All right, that was a bit delayed, but just in time, Peter, just in time. All right. Hi, Peter.
Hello, teacher. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you, Peter?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Interesting information for you, Peter. My middle name is Peter. That's my middle name.
Oh, okay.
So we're is that your official name, or is that a name that you
No,
adopted?
that's my English name.
It's
My
your English
Vietnamese name is Phung Tuấn Anh.
Okay, yeah. Peter is a very popular name around the world in many different cultures. So that's my middle name is Peter. Okay. All right. So Peter, let me bring up the passage here. We're on the last paragraph. So I will ask you to read this, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Whenever you're ready, just read from "Though Apple would go on to become."
Though Apple would go on to become one of the world's biggest companies in the coming decades, the journey was not smooth, and both Wozniak and Jobs would leave the company in the 1980s, though Jobs would return to Apple with much fanfare amidst the production of his 21st century marvels, such as the iPhone. Wozniak would not return except in a so-called ceremonial capacity. Apple has changed markedly since Wozniak left the company in 1985. While it's difficult to draw a direct line between Wozniak's contributions to the company and, for example, the modern iPhone, it's clear that Apple would not exist in its current form without the technological brilliance that Steve Wozniak brought to the Jobs family garage so many decades ago.
Awesome. Okay. So what do you see when you read this paragraph? What's going on?
I can visualize that Apple is on the way to become the biggest company in the world, and but the way is not smooth. It's difficult, and unfortunately, Wozniak and Jobs would leave the company in 1980s, and
Okay, so what you should see, I'm gonna stop you, Peter, okay, because you're doing kind of what Amrit did as well here, and what many people tend to do is you're kind of seeing this as if it's like a TV show that's happening far away from you, but you want to make this yourself. Like, you are Steve Wozniak, so you leave the company. So what you should be seeing is you've got your box of stuff, your computer stuff, maybe. So this is you here, Peter. Okay, I'm drawing a stickman version of you. You're probably much more handsome than this stickman here, but this is the stickman here. Okay, so here's this big Apple company. Okay, and Apple is now a really big company, and it's 1985. and you've had some problems with the company, so you've left your job. There's your box of computers and pens and other things, and you are gone, never to return to the company. So you should see yourself kind of leaving the Apple company, okay?
Yes.
When you read that, but you know something very important, right? Is that Apple would never exist in this way if it wasn't for you, because you are a super duper smart guy. I'm trying to
Yeah.
draw a light bulb, and it's because you're this super duper smart guy that Apple even existed in the first place, right? So that's what you should see at the end of this passage here. Does that make sense?
Oh, I see.
Okay. So the key here, Peter, is become a part of the story. Be a part of the story. Okay. Be the hero. Be the person in the story. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
All right. And then it becomes much easier to answer questions. So here we have some questions. And this first question here says, reading passage 2 has 7 paragraphs, A to G. Which paragraph contains the following information? So we have to match the paragraph with the correct information.
Yes.
And it says you can use any letter more than once. And the first one here, number 14, because this is reading passage 2, says information about Wozniak's youth. So do you remember which paragraph this information was in, Wozniak's youth, where we're talking about his childhood?
I think it was in the first or the second paragraph.
Okay, very good. Do you remember what we saw for this paragraph? I even drew a little picture, I think.
I was in the toilet at that time. So
Fair enough. Okay.
just to,
Fair enough. Maul, I think, even made a joke about my drawing. So if Maul is in the chat, then Maul will know which paragraph it was. But you're right, it was somewhere in the beginning. So we can go back and we can kind of check. So it's one of these paragraphs. First one's introduction. So it's talking about the foundation of Apple Computer. And I kind of saw myself holding all of these products, like the iPad, iPhone, the iPod, listening to music. So that wasn't that one. But this second one, B, that's where I had this baby crib, where I was laying in the baby crib with my cute little toes, and I was living in California. And this is, I think, where Maul made the joke that it looked like I was in a boat, not a baby crib, based on my drawing. But so I clearly remember that it was paragraph B where this happened. Okay. So you're correct that it was in the beginning, A or B. Now, if you visualize and if you see the information, you can actually get the answers to these kinds of questions really, really quickly. So we would put B into the answer here and then go on. Let's do one more together, son. A stock price skyrockets. So number 15, which paragraph was that one? The stock price skyrockets. And it should pretty easy, that one.
Sorry, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember where I was talking about driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris?
Oh, yes.
Which paragraph was that?
I think it was the paragraph before the paragraph I read.
Yeah. And Fennel there in the chat saying second to last. It's Fennel. The correct way is not last second. It's second to last. So you read paragraph G, so that would have been paragraph F, right? Okay.
Yes.
And you're right. That's why. Okay. The only way. So, son, reality, right? The only way I'm driving a Ferrari and living in a house with a huge swimming pool, like Manny Deep was saying, a 10-story house, is if we are worth a lot of money. So we need those stock prices to skyrocket. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. So let's take a look at number 16 here. The reason I'm hanging on here with you, Peter, is because I want to show you that when you visualize, you can actually go through questions like this pretty quick because you have a visual sequence in your brain of what's happening, right? Like being in the baby crib, being in my $1 million house. Okay, learning from another company's technology. Which paragraph was that in?
I think it's paragraph D,
Okay, let's check.
right?
So the relationship between Jobs and Wozniak was complicated when the video manufacturer Atari offered $100. So here, I remember we were visualizing that I was fighting with Steve Jobs and he took some money from me. So I wasn't really learning from another company, but you're not far off. Because here in E, we were working in Wozniak, where we were working in Steve Jobs' parents' garage. And this is where we read this little piece based on Intel's 8080 microprocessor. So this is where I was building the computers. I'd stopped drawing pictures here. That's why it was probably a little bit more tricky to remember. But who was I speaking to with here? We were talking about building that first computer, right? So I was, yeah. I was building the first Apple computer. So this is where it makes sense that I was probably learning from different companies' technology like Altair and Intel. Okay.
Yes.
So you were close, Peter. You were close. And that's one of the great things about visualizing and including yourself is even if you don't get the exact paragraph, you get really close to the information.
Yes.
So usually you're just one paragraph beside it. Okay.
Yes.
So good. So this would be paragraph E then, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Next one I think will be quite easy. It'll be pretty fast. The origins of Apple in telephone technology.
I think it's letter A, right?
Not quite, but I think your thinking is okay. It's not A. I know it's not A.
It's computer.
What was the telephone visualization? I drew a really kind of funny picture for that one. I don't know, maybe you were still in the washroom for that one because it was in the beginning. If you look at the chat, then somebody's giving the answer, but we have to figure out which paragraph that was.
Is that the blue block?
It is the blue box, yeah, where I can make those long distance phone calls, right, to my girlfriend in Japan. So Fennel, you're right, it's the blue box. But which paragraph was the blue box in?
Is that F? Letter F?
It's closer to the beginning. So remember, first I saw myself helping to build or establish Apple. The introduction, iPhone, iPad, and all of this came into existence because I helped to found the company. And then it's baby me. I'm in California in San Jose. Baby me is born in 1950s. And now people are figuring it out in the chat. It was paragraph C, I believe. It was after I was born and growing up. And paragraph C is where that little blue box came into the picture. Now, even if you forget which was that, you still know it's the blue box, so you can find the answer very quickly, even if you have to look, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So telephones, blue box, C. Okay. All right. Last one here for this one. Steve Jobs steals from Wozniak. Ooh. Which one was that? When did Steve Jobs steal money from me?
I think the last one is D.
Okay, I think you're right. Because it was when we were
because the last paragraph.
when we were the Atari, not G, D. You said D, and I think D is correct. This is where I got $700 $350 instead of $2,500 because of the Atari situation where our relationship was complicated, where we're fighting over the computer game. That one
Yeah.
there. Okay, so that was D. Okay, so again, when you practice this, Peter, and you visualize and you see the information, this kind of question where it's asking which paragraph has this information, it becomes easier because you know where you saw that information. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. All right. Visualization is very, very important for us to know location. Okay. Our brain,
Yes.
it has a special programming for location and vision to be combined. We have basically maps inside of our head, and just like mapping your city where you know where to go for groceries or you know where to go to the park, your brain also maps information when it sees information. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons it's so important to see the information, is so that your brain can map the information. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, Peter, thank you so much for helping
Thank you,
me
teacher.
prove the point and do this. Okay, I hope you have an
Thank
awesome.
you for your support.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. Keep it up. Okay, thank you. Great
Yeah.
job. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, Peter. Okay, that was my name brother right there, my middle name being Peter. So give Peter a thumbs up. Yeah, again, everyone, mapping information visually is very, very powerful. It's a very, very powerful learning tool. It's a very powerful tool in business. It's a very powerful tool in communication. Does that make sense, everyone? So mapping information by seeing information is very, very powerful. It's a very powerful thinking tool. Okay. All right. Let's see if we can reach out to somebody else to help me with some of these questions. Jamal has really been hanging out for quite some time here, so let's see if Jamal is still here. Are you still here, Jamal? Are you ready? We can talk to each other. Okay, so we're kind of finding people around the world. All right, Jamal says yes.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Jamal. How are you?
I'm fine. What about you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for
That's
asking,
good.
Jamal. All right, Jamal, whereabouts in the world are you right now?
Okay, I'm right. I'm ready.
Where are you in the world, Jamal, may I ask? Which country?
I'm from Baku, Azerbaijan.
Baku, Azerbaijan. Yes, we've talked before, I know.
Yes, I think so. 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. So, great. Let's do this together. All right. So you've been hanging out. You've been following the reading and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I read from the YouTube screen?
No, yeah. Yes, watch the YouTube screen for sure.
Okay.
We're going to answer this paragraph completion type question here. It's like a summary. So it's
Okay.
Steve Wozniak's Beginnings. Okay, is the title here.
It's the not the same thing what was before me. Yes, it's other type.
Yeah, this is this is a new type of question. We have to fill in the
Fill
spaces
gaps.
here. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, so let's do this. So again, visualizing here. So Steve Wozniak's Beginnings basically means the beginnings of my life as Steve Wozniak, what happened with me helping to build Apple, my early relationships, obviously, with Steve Jobs. Let's just do this. So let's go from Apple. So read from Apple, and then we'll do it together. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Apple is one of the biggest companies in the world. So, Steve has been the face of the company. It's actually Wozniak who provided a lot of the engineering and ability.
Okay, so let's jump back to number 19 here. So what is missing here? What do you think the word is that should fill in that space, number 19?
1 minute, I'm waiting. When I will see it.
You don't have to search for this one. This should be very easy. You should be able to answer this without searching.
From myself?
Yeah.
Through Steve Jobs.
Right. How do you spell it?
G-O-B and C. Yeah.
S. So
S. I'm sorry. S.
so let's do that one more time. Capital J O B S.
B.
Okay.
S. Yes.
Capital J O B S. Okay, Steve Jobs has been the face of the company. Okay, it is actually Wozniak who provided a lot of the engineering and what? So he provided the engineering and what else? What was the other ability that Wozniak, from your brain, like if you had to guess?
Technology. Engineering and sorry, I think I don't remember.
When I was a baby, I'm Steve Wozniak, and I'm a baby in California. What was special about me as a baby? I had a big head, right? Why did I have a big head?
It's talent. No. Oh, sorry. No.
Okay, yeah, no, wait, whoa. You're on the right track. Yeah, so a lot of the engineering and talent ability, we don't usually say talent ability, so there's another word there that's going to be very similar to talent.
Possibility. No.
Close. It's not, and people in the chat aren't getting it either. Rashika in the chat has finally figured it out.
Technology.
Not technology, because engineering is technology. It's not technology.
Yeah, intellectual.
Intellectual ability. Yes.
Did Rashika write the right variant? Is there R in
No,
this?
there's no R.
world?
Yeah, she
Okay.
mistyped the R there, I think, but it's
Yeah, so-
intellectual. Yeah, no, always use your own thinking, right? Use your own intellect. No, it's intellectual with L's, not R's.
Intellectual,
I think that was just a typo there by Rashika. But yeah, so it's intellectual ability. Engineering and technology are the same. That's why it's not technology, but it's the intellect. He had the brains, right? He was the brains of the operation. Okay, so he was the brains of the operation. That's how I know that's the right answer. All right. Let's keep going. So Wozniak was born at a time. Keep going from there.
Wozniak was born at a time decades before the boom in some Jose, an area which would come to be nicknamed.
Keep going.
Nicknamed. We should say some name, yeah.
Exactly,
Some
because it's the
special name.
nickname. Yeah, exactly. It's the nickname of San Jose, and you know this. Everybody knows this. I think it's such a.
Is it Santa?
Keep it simple. Everybody knows this. Once I say it, you'll be like, yeah, of course. So I don't want to say it. Where is the home of technology in the world?
Home of technology, USA.
Yeah, but more specifically, saying USA is like saying Europe. USA is a huge country with lots of different cultures and states. So there's one specific name that we use for this home of technology.
America. Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I saw they wrote it. Yes.
Do you know? Have you heard of Silicon Valley?
Yeah, I know it. It's popular, I can say, place in China too. I think it's in China too. It's in other places too. It has.
Yeah, exactly. So once that name kind of became popular in the US, in California, in the San Jose region, then after that, other places in the world also adopted that name, Silicon Valley. Do you know what the silicon actually refers to in this case? Silicon Valley? What it refers to?
Before? How
No,
it's called?
Do you know what the meaning of silicon is?
Yes, it's the places where the how can I say where in I know this word in Russian, but I forget. Can I translate this word?
What is silicon? I guess that's the simple question here. Is what is silicon, right? Why would you call a place
It's
silicon?
something not organic.
Yeah, it's used in computers, right? So silicon is the
It's, how
base.
can I say, somewhere a place with manufacturing, yes, industry, something
Yes, but more specifically,
where buildings, yeah,
silicon
and
is the material used to make chips, computer chips. So computer chips are made from silicon. All of the little chips in your computer that make computing possible, the zeros and ones, is a substance that I believe it's made from sand, from a special type of sand, and it makes it possible to compute zeros and ones, the binary system, and it is the base material for creating chips. So any place in the world where you create lots of devices and technology
yes,
uses a lot of silicon. That's why it's called
yeah,
Silicon Valley, because it's a valley of silicon, right? Okay, all right. Let's keep going. So Silicon Valley, Wozniak got his start. Continue from there.
yes. Wozniak got his start in technology in the 1970s by making a device called that would allow for free long distance calls. Called called telephone. No, technology in the telephone.
Not the telephone. That would have been Alexander Graham Bell.
Computer.
Nope. This was a simple one. It was the blue box.
Blue box. Yeah.
Right? He created that little blue box that let people make those long distance phone calls. So keep it simple, okay? The blue box. Were you here at the beginning of the class when I drew that picture of calling my girlfriend in Japan with the blue box? No, maybe you missed that part, I think.
Yes, I missed some parts of this.
I can tell because I think you would have gotten blue box for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Let's keep going. So the profit from these devices.
The profit from these devices was necessary so he could start a company that will change the world soon after. Apple?
Yeah, exactly. Keep it simple. Apple. The company that would change the world soon after. All right, good. Okay, so one important point here, Jamal, is when you're doing this kind of question, this fill in the blank, don't just quickly rush to look at the passage, but first try to figure it out on your own. If you can't, if you're really stuck, if you're like, okay, I really don't know what this is, like if you're like, I'm really stuck for Silicon Valley, for example, then, go back and check the passage in that part of the passage. But if you're quite confident that the answer, for example, is blue box, because you read that and you're like, okay, it was the blue box, then just put in the answer and keep going. So you shouldn't be searching for every single answer in this type of question, okay?
Yes, I understood.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for volunteering. I hope you have a
Thank you too.
fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you too very much. And can I ask one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the rule? How can I say? Can I be a VIP member? How it's the rule of being it? Because I don't know actually.
So to become a member of the channel, like what's going on in the chat right now with Emma and Mandy, there should be like a join button on the YouTube channel page, so our home channel page, Academic English Help. You should see a join button beside the subscribe button. If you don't see that, send me an email, and then there's a couple of options. Like it doesn't show up on Apple devices, for example, so you have to use a link for Apple to be able to join. So send me an email. I'll show you what my email is because we're kind of coming to the end of the class here shortly anyway. So here's my email. Send me an email. This is for everybody there. Yeah, and then I can give you more instructions on what you can do if you don't see that join button. Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much, Adrian.
All right, thank you. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thanks. Bye. Okay, so that, everybody, was Jamal. He did a great job. Thumbs up. Okay, everyone. So the rest of the passage, 24, how much money did Steve Jobs unfairly take from Steve Wozniak? and these sentence endings, these 2 questions here. I'll leave this for you to do, and then you can email me the answers, okay, to what I was just showing you, my email there, and I'll give you the answer key for those last 3 questions. I'm kind of running out of time, so I don't want to just rush through these, okay? So just email me the answers there. I will send you the answer key. Rashika, Emre, Amrit, Fennel, great job today. That was fantastic. Carolina, thank you for moderating. That was really good, everyone. So again, just the key points from this lesson. When you're reading, become a part of that information. See the details, include yourself, make it interesting. That is the key to effective reading, where you can understand, remember, and recall the information. So keep that in mind. And again, make sure to visit at aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Use the code HELP20 for that 20% discount. I'm going to be back in 30 minutes with listening exercise for the listening section, parts 3 and 4. So we're going to do that together. We're going to listen, look at the questions, answer the questions, and talk strategy. So hopefully I will see you back here in 30 minutes after a short break. My name is Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Much love to all of you, and see you shortly. Bye for now.